Assalamualaikum, my dear students. Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss the new topic, that is reproduction. As you know, that it is the production of individuals of the same species, that is in the next generation of species, and it is the one of the fundamental characteristics of living things. Why reproduction is important? It is essential for the continuation of species, and it also the genetic material from one generation is transferred to the next generation, because it is the principle of life that people come in the world and they have to die. They are dying because of the diseases, the genetic factors, and so on. So there are two basic types of the reproduction, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is the type of reproduction which produce an exact duplicate of an organism, whereas in the sexual involves the joining of male and female sex cells, gametes, and here the genetic variations occur due to the sexual reproduction. So let us first discuss the method of asexual reproduction, that is binary fission, fragmentation, budding, spore formation, and there are different in the plants like parthenogenesis, vegetative propagation. So let's first talk about the binary fission. There are so many types of asexual reproduction, so we are going to discuss few of them. Binary fission means dividing into two. That is the most simplest and common method of asexual reproduction. It occurs in prokaryotes, bacteria, and many unicellular eukaryotes, for example, protozoa, and also in some invertebrates. It is a very easy mechanism, like the parent bacterium divides its duplicates, its DNA, and then DNA moves towards the opposite pole, then the cytoplasm divides and two daughter cells are produced. That is the binary fission. The mechanism is very, very simple. In some invertebrates, we reproduce asexually through the binary fission. For example, in planaria, that is the echinoderms, the body is cut into the two halves and the missing body parts are regenerated itself and develops into a new organism. Next one is the fragmentation. Like for example, the worms grew to the full size and then spontaneously it breaks itself into several parts, 8 to 10 pieces, and each piece develops into a new organism. That's why it is known as the fragmentation. Another one is the budding. Budding in this type of asexual reproduction, a bud develops. What is a bud? A small outgrowth on the parent's body. For example, in case of yeast and a unicellular fungus, the bud is formed on one side of the cell. Then the cellular division occurs and it develops into a new cell. It also occurs in animals such as the sponges, hydra, and corals. They reproduce by means of budding. Same that process, that a small outgrowth is formed and cellular division occurs, then it enlarges, detaches from the parent body and develops into a new organism. Then spore formation, and it occurs in the most of the fungi. For example, let's talk about the rhizopus. The rhizopus reproduces the thick-walled sac-like spores that are known as the sporangia. Inside each sporangium, a cell divides many times and form many daughter cells called the spores. And when sporangia mature, it bursts and release the spores. and the favorable conditions, spores get the favorable condition and germinate and develop into a new rhizopus. That's all about the spore formation. Under some unfavorable conditions, some species of bacteria, they also reproduce by forming the spores. For example, it is the case in Clostridium and Bacillus species. They form the endospores, that are the thick walled spores that form inside the bacterial cells. They burst and then release the spores and generate into a. That's the types of the asexual reproduction. So we will discuss the others in plants in our next video. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.